Blood flow of the heart. Blood low in oxygen and high in carbon dioxide enters the right atrium through the vena cava and coronary sinus. As the right atrial wall contracts, the blood passes through the tricuspid valve and the blood moves through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary trunk and its branches, which are the pulmonary arteries. From these vessels, blood enters the capillaries associated with the alveoli of the lungs. Gas exchange occurs between the blood and capillaries and air in the alveoli. The oxygen-rich blood, now relatively low in carbon dioxide, returns to the heart through the pulmonary veins that lead to the left atrium. The left atrial wall contracts and the blood moves through the mitral valve and into the chamber of the left ventricle. When the left ventricle wall contracts, the blood passes through the aortic valve and into the aorta and its branches. The heart is divided into 4 chambers, 2 on each side. The upper chambers, called the atria, which receive blood from returning to the heart. The lower chambers, which are the ventricles, force the blood out of the heart into the arteries. The atrium on each side communicates with its corresponding ventricle. The right atrium receives blood from 2 large veins, the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. These veins return blood, low in oxygen, from tissues. The tricuspid valve, which is on the right side, sits between the right atrium and the right ventricle. The valve permits the blood to move from the right atrium into the right ventricle and prevents from moving in opposite direction. When the muscular wall contracts of the right ventricle, the blood inside its chambers is put under increasing pressure and the tricuspid valve closes. The blood then flows to the pulmonary trunk, which divides to form the right and left pulmonary arteries that lead to the lungs. At base of the trunk is the pulmonary valve. This valve opens as the right ventricle contracts. The left atrium receives blood from the lungs through pulmonary veins, 2 from each lung. The blood passes from the left atrium into the left ventricle. The mitral valve prevents the blood from flowing back into the left atrium from the left ventricle when ventricle contracts. When the left ventricle contracts, the mitral valve closes. The only exit is through a large vein called the aorta. Its branches distribute blood to all parts of the body. At the base of the aorta is the aortic valve. It opens and allows blood to leave the left ventricle as it contracts.